So I study urban informatics, and that is the integration of digital technologies into urban spaces. And also, similar to that, the emergent forms of organizing and collaboration that are possible with digital technologies. And in particular, I'm doing that within a design setting. So studying designers at the moment, and the ways in which designers collaborate and the integration between the material objects that designers use and the ways in which they are augmented and changed and distributed with digital technology. Yeah, actually, it's pretty interesting. It goes back about 7 years. I was really interested in looking at what was going on in Japan with mobile technology, and that's how I originally met Mimi Ito and got acquainted with her work on mobiles and youth. And I had studied in Japan as an undergrad, and I really wanted to go back and now, with my field in communications, get reacquainted with what was happening in Tokyo and in terms of urban technology. Well, I think being involved in the digital media and learning community is really important for me as an educator, partially because, when you are teaching graduate students, it's really important to be knowledgeable about the best practices in terms of how technology is being used in the classroom and what can be accomplished in new ways of creating coursework and projects that you weren't aware of, because obviously most of us were trained under an earlier system in which our classroom experience is very different than what students expect today. So I see it as really important to stay involved in the DML community as a faculty member, and also as I'm continuing to study these technologies and the ways that they're used in urban settings and in work settings, to be able to help to make arguments about the ways in which we can develop more nuanced ways of thinking about the role of technology in society. So essentially, if you look at say mainstream press or popular notions about technology, I think there are a lot of mythology and kind of hype, and so it's really important, I think, to have good research that can help us create better concepts, and in particular those are concepts that bridge both social and technical types of discussions, and also both technical and spatial. And so they're usually in all of my work there are all three of those dimensions present, and it's about creating new terminology and ways of thinking about that so that we can better understand the way that we shape technology and technology shapes us. I mean, one of the, I guess, most pervasive ones actually is about pervasive technology and ubiquitous computing. And there's this constant phrase of, anytime, anywhere access to technology, which is usually meant to mean, 24/7 access to the broadband internet. And you'll see it used not only in, say, telecom advertisements on TV or cable advertisements. You see it often with any kind of application that can be accessed around the clock, even online banking. And if you look up the word anytime, anywhere, and the way that's been used historically, actually it's been tied to pretty much all innovations going back hundreds of years. And like, even if you look in Popular Mechanics magazine, they would sell you some appliance under that anytime, anywhere banner. And so I think it's doing us a disservice as academics to constantly use that kind of language, and we do. And I think that if you haven't studied mobile technology or situated spatial contextual ways in which technology and people use technology, you often tend to revert to that as a default. And it's really important to again develop a more nuanced understanding of when are people actually engaged with technology, where are there are mobile dead zones, there's Wi-Fi infrastructure that shapes gives new kinds of affordances and freedoms, but at the same time those are not pervasive or ubiquitous. There are times in which you may want to disconnect, and so I think that the language of anytime, anywhere is not really very helpful in developing a nuanced understanding of the spatial and contextual ways in which we actually behave as people. Actually, it's been a really delightful week and a really fun week, and also intellectually really stimulating, and peer, in terms of like camaraderie and peer building, really important. I was not sure whether I would be able to integrate well with the other DML scholars, because I don't come from an education background, and I'm not working specifically in, say, K through 12 schools, although I'm looking at how design students are educated in undergraduate, graduate programs. And it's been, I would say I've had so much more in common with everyone than I would have thought, and in particular, specific methodologies and specific theories, and also just the way in which people really treated each other with respect and openness. So I think that because it was a very small and exclusive peer group of only 12 people, that led to a more, a better feeling of intimacy and being able to get to know each other better. And so it's been a really positive experience. I mean, the mentoring that was provided on the first day that we had small group meetings, in my case, and the particular mentor that I was working with in our small group discussion was so incredibly insightful and thoughtful, and she took the time to take each of us aside for 5 or 10 minutes and give us individual feedback, and then we had a more broad discussion, and she asked us the most important question, which is, what are you really up against when you're doing your work? Like, who are you trying to argue against, or where are the alternative, visions that are, competing with your ideas? And I think that's probably the most important question that anyone needs to answer if they're going to be doing research and developing their own opinions. So that mentoring session by far stands out as the highlight of the week. And she also sent us very, very detailed feedback on our papers today. So there was a continuity between the beginning of the week when we met and the end of the week in terms of the amount of in contact that we got with the mentor. So that really stands out as a highlight. I guess I'm a compulsive application sender, so if I see an opportunity, and in particular for intimate summer workshops, I found that going back over the last 7 years, the most useful periods of time for me have always been summer workshops. So starting back in summer 2003 with Web Shop at the University of Maryland, or Oxford Internet Institute, or Values in Design, there have been all of these great opportunities just to hang out for a week intensively with anywhere from 20 to 30 other scholars, and you always get such just such a different feeling than, say, taking courses or being on your own writing your dissertation. So I saw it. I'm not sure which listserv I learned about it through, but I imagine it was distributed through the STS listserv and the Association of Internet Researchers, and I've followed Mimi Ito's work for going back quite a while, so I think I found out about it through those venues, and I just thought, well, given that I'm doing this new project on design collaboration, and in particular how do design educators think about their role in terms of getting students to work in teams, and what kind of scaffolding that they provide for that, it sounds like a good fit. And next year I'm planning to work with Judith Gregory at Illinois Institute of Technology on a project which is about teaching ethnography and design methods to school kids in Chicago. So that is one which is a future project that I knew had a very strong connection to the DML community, and so I thought it would be a good opportunity to meet others who have been doing similar types of projects.